Yeah, it's the Weege Show. Going to wrap up round 3, Monster Energy AMA Supercross from San Diego. You know our wrap-up show is brought to you by RaceTech, and you might remember the gold valves make your suspension plusher, better bottoming resistance. But don't forget the part about giving your bike better traction. That's what it was all about there in San Diego. A little bit slicker, it appeared, than the surprisingly tacky Anaheim one, and then last week in Oakland. And the track didn't offer up many passing opportunities besides the whoops. You need good suspension for that, and trying to run a little low in some of the corners, which is really difficult if you don't go to the berm because it was so slippery. So traction at a premium. Go to racetech.com and maybe you'll find opportunities to pass on tracks that don't have a lot of opportunities to make passes. Now I'm going to send it out to San Diego and Kellen Brouwer for the Weege Show in just a moment, but I do want to talk about the 2 breakthrough winners. The great Mitch Payton, the great philosopher of the sport, has told me several times that sometimes you need a rider to almost get that first win kind of by accident. To know to close the deal under pressure. Can I do it? Can I do it? If something falls their way, makes it a little bit simpler that first time, it's going to make it a lot easier the next time out. And that's partially how it turned out for our 2 breakthrough winners tonight. You had Michael Moseman, coulda, shoulda, woulda won several times in the 250 class. He finally gets it done tonight, but let's be honest, he was under pressure from Hunter Lawrence. Then it was crazy with lap riders, and Lawrence went down to the whoops. And then Lawrence came back after Moseman again and got held up by lappers again. Now, I'm not saying that Moseman got lucky. I'm not saying that Lawrence was for sure going to win. Full credit to Moseman, but it definitely made it easier with a little less pressure than it could have been. And now that he's got that first win, you know it's going to be easier the next time around, maybe 7 days from now. And in the 450 class, Chase Sexton has come so close to so many 450 Supercross wins. Jason Anderson in Jason Anderson terms is ripping right now. Anderson was like 9th early in this race, and he came through Cooper Webb. He came through Eli Tomac. He came through, literally, Ken Roczen, and he was closing on Sexton. Now, Sexton still had a big lead, and there was half a race to go. Like the Moseman situation, I'm not saying Sexton full marks didn't earn this win and wouldn't have won the race anyway, but there would have been a lot more pressure to deal with trying to close the deal on this elusive first 450 Supercross win had Anderson in second not run into mechanical problems. People are freaking out thinking it was the smoking clutch like we'd see from Eli Tomac's bike when he rode Kawasaki's, but it's different because Tomac, his bike would smoke, but it would never slow him down the same way it did Anderson tonight. I'm hearing it might have actually been a radiator cap, either popped off or was leaking, and that was radiator fluid. Anderson was able to nurse at home. He lost some points, but it wasn't a complete DNF disaster. And it certainly made life easier on Sexton. And just like Moseman, now that he's finally got that win, you know it's going to be a lot easier for him down the stretch if he's leading again. That's going to make him really dangerous. So I'm going to say in the 450 class, there's really 2 winners here. Sexton obviously wins. That's a huge boost for his career, huge boost to maybe really be a legitimate contender in only his 2nd year in the class for the title. But Anderson really proved something coming through traffic. This wasn't just a weirdo round 1 and 2 thing. You know everybody's improving, everyone's striving, and Anderson was able to catch and pass former champions of the series. He is absolutely on the gas right now, and the points are super close. Wouldn't be so much if Anderson had gone 2-1-2 in the first 3 rounds, which was in play. But if he keeps riding like this, it's all going to work out in the averages. All right, a lot more to talk about. Let's send it out to San Diego. The Weege Show. Kellen Brouwer, what do you got? Wait, what's that? What's that? Getting communication. Yeah, Kellen Brouwer really is part of the Weege Show now because he is having problems with his camera out there in San Diego, which is the most Weege thing possible, to have mechanical, technical difficulties. So I will take you through the rest of the show unless Kellen miraculously comes up with a way to record out there in San Diego. Look, I know it's heartbreaking for Anderson to lose points. As soon as we see a rider with a bike smoking and he's dropping through traffic, we immediately think he just lost 25. Or actually in Supercross, a race win pays 26 points. But he held on for a top 10. The difference between finishing 2nd and where he did finish, I believe 9th, is actually only 9 points. It's only 9 points. It's only 9 points. So it's not a huge, huge deal by the end of the year. Yes, there are some titles that have been decided by less than 9 points, but not very often. If you're Anderson, you're still pumped. You're ripping. And if you're Sexton, you're pumped, you're ripping, and now you're able to bring it home. Sexton talked a lot about testing the Honda and getting better in the whoops. We've heard he's switched from factory triple clamps to aftermarket triple clamps, and clearly made a big, big difference. And he was better in the whoops because the whoops were super treacherous. The Supercross is 3 for 3 on tracks with gnarly whoops. So Tomac and Dylan Ferrandis end up on the podium, the two Yamaha riders. They, as a duo, combined in the press conference to say the word starts about 700 times. That's probably how many practice starts they did and how much work they're doing on them. Ferrandis said on the podium, you might have heard on TV, that it's a boost of confidence, but he doesn't really need confidence. He just needed better starts. It was better, but he admitted he had to take a risk with some bike changes after getting 16th at the opening round. He made some changes. It's working better for the start. And Tomac felt better too. He said really he'd sum it up as it was better. It's progress. He's happy. Look, he did get passed by Anderson. He wasn't able to go and get Sexton. He moved around Marvin Musquin early in the race, and I thought we were going to see a real showdown between Sexton and Tomac down the stretch, but Tomac just didn't have the speed to run down the leader this time. But still, it's his first podium of the year. Tomac is not the points leader. And we found out that it is the earliest in the year Tomac has ever led the points. So even though he wasn't the fastest guy in this night, he was very, very happy still showing progression and getting those starts improved, and that's key. A couple other riders got to be a little disappointed. Cooper Webb had the start. He was right there, and you saw Cooper Webb ready to do some tricks, cutting down low and getting inside on the very first lap. I thought he was going for the lead. He just didn't have it. He just didn't have it. And only through the kind of veteran experience and the late race tenacity of Webb did he end up still salvaging fourth. So he's right there in the points, but he admitted on the podium that he's got a lot of work to do. Musquin, as I mentioned, had a good start and was looking good for a while, but kind of dropped through, alarmingly so, once the leaders got to him. And Aaron Plessinger, not the best start. Barsha, not the best start. Malcolm Stewart rode strong. But a lot of it early in the year is going to be start cross when all these guys are going for it. And all these guys are hungry and healthy and think they can win. So we're seeing a big flip-flop in results every week. But you got to admit, Sexton, you know he has speed. And now we know Anderson has legit speed as well. So that's really going to be interesting. This is about as close as the points have ever been, I believe, in the 450 class after 3 rounds. So that's certainly exciting. And I know, I've been hyping up round 3 theory. I think you folks missed something. I was not guaranteeing that whoever wins round 3 wins the title, but I am saying that it is very, 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 very significant on the path to a title to be able to win the 3rd round. So if you're Sexton and you won this round, that is huge. It is not a guarantee. There are no guarantees in sports, but it is huge. And Anderson riding this fast at round 3, that is huge. The first 2 rounds tend to be a little bit weirdo. 3rd round begins to establish a pattern that we see for the rest of the year. Let's go to the 250 class. Now, look, Christian Craig has had everything going his way. Fastest qualifying, every time he's out, wins the heat races, won the first 2 mains of the year. But you have to know that racing luck is going to turn. And this is not a knock on Craig being inconsistent, just weird stuff. Knocked down by a lapper, or a bad start, or cross jump by someone, or knocked down, whatever it might be. And it happened early. It happened here in the 3rd round with a big pile up in turn 1. It took him a while to get going. He thought actually that the motorcycle was broken. He said he saw oil. Turned out it was actually oil from someone else's bike. So he did a little inventory to make sure the bike was okay before he got back on it. He was still able to come all the way back through to 3rd. And he said that showed true heart and that he can dig deep. I think Craig knows that some people don't think he can do that. So he was really proud of himself for showing that he can. And it's going to make him a lot more dangerous. Look, this is an injury-riddled 250 Supercross West field. We've lost a lot of contenders. Seth Hamaker, another one, out for the weekend. So when you take Craig's speed and the fact that a lot of riders are out, he's able to get a 3rd from a first-turn crash, and a pretty bad one at that. So that is dangerous for the competition to know, man, even on a horrible night, Craig can still get on the podium. Then we had that battle up front. Hunter Lawrence wanted it bad. He was bummed when he couldn't win the first 2 races after getting bad starts. So you can imagine getting a better start, catching the leader twice, and being held up by lappers, even knocked down one time. I asked him, what was the emotion after the race? Was it frustration? And he said, what do you think, Jason? Yeah, it was frustration. And by the way, in the press conference, more hilarious yucks. Moseman, his brother works for Motocross Action as a journalist, asked Moseman a question about, did your brother teach you everything you know? And then there were multiple takes in the first turn crash from both Hunter and Craig. And then Moseman said, to be honest, I actually caused it because I had a good jump and I was on the outside and I moved over. And I think that caused everyone to crash. These guys are hilarious. So it's not bad blood in the 250s yet, but it's still early in the year. Moseman, that breakthrough win. Sexton, that breakthrough win. Once you win that first one, sometimes it has to be by accident. The rest come a lot easier. This is going to be something for the rest of the field to deal with. Moseman and Sexton on top in San Diego. Thanks for watching, and thanks for RaceTech for backing our shows.